There's this long-standing truth that if you own real estate, that it's part of your portfolio, but your home generally isn't.
Yeah.
The reason why I bring that up is because there's been a lot of conversations about if you sell a piece of property. The old term was to give it a boot. Now the true IRS term is a 1031 exchange. If you have a property and there's a capital gain, you can exchange that to another piece of property and defer the capital gain.
Yeah, it's a really interesting setup. It's something that was put into the tax code many, many years ago to encourage real estate development, because that's something that, as you pointed out, it was viewed as like the path to wealth. That's how you accumulate wealth. And I think the old saying was something along the lines of buy land because they're not making any more of it. That's clearly hyperbole there, because we have seen that property values can go down. There was the whole global financial crisis period. Also look at all the troubles right now going on in commercial real estate, especially with vacant offices and the such. But these different 1031 exchanges, we are getting more and more questions from clients about how to do them and then what's the value to it. And it's not just an investment issue. It's not just about investing in real estate. It really implicates like tax planning and estate planning as well. Because if you think about, if you are exchanging one property for another, what if you want to get out of the real estate game? What if you no longer want to have to be the manager of the property? We've actually found a number of different ways through different partners that we work with that might be some options for people in the right situation, get them out of that eventually over time.
So let's talk about that. So we're trying to either defer or perhaps eliminate the capital gain when selling a property by exchanging it for a like kind. Exchanging it for a like kind property, that defers it to the next move. But one of the ideas that you're talking about right now is what's sometimes called an UPREIT.
Yeah, so UPREITs have become much more common over the last couple of years, where people first do a 1031 exchange. So you're basically exchanging one property for another, and then you do the UPREIT phase. So after a certain amount of time, because you have to hold it long enough to demonstrate that you're doing this as an investment, not just as a transaction. And so, there's different rules around how long that has to be, but let's just say it's around 2 to 3 years. And then after that period of time, then you can actually look at exchanging the property itself. So instead of kind of doing like cash going to a qualified intermediary to purchase another one, this is actually where another REIT, a real estate investment trust, then sort of acquires that property at a fair market value.
So let's talk about that. So here, I'll give you an example. So somebody bought a duplex, then they sold that duplex and bought a fourplex, right?
Yep.
So they took whatever, $250,000 of the duplex, they bought a $500,000 fourplex. Now they own this property and they want to do something else with it. They don't want to worry about the toilets and the tenants anymore, right? So they can then, after a certain period of time, take that property and go into, theoretically, this UPREIT, still not paying taxes, and then get income out of this UPREIT. Seems like a pretty sophisticated idea.
It really is, and that's why you have to work with professionals in order to do it and make sure that you're following all those rules, because the IRS is watching, right? Because you are deferring those taxes, and if you're in that UPREIT structure on death, then the heirs, they get that step up in basis. So it does allow you to defer the taxes or perhaps eliminate those taxes. As sometimes is said, death is a tax strategy.
It's funny. So, of course, there is, some tax planning. And, of course, there's diversification why you would do this. But there's also estate planning benefits, in moving it from active income to passive income are all part of this. So tax planning, estate planning, investment planning, that all comes together, and ironically, that's exactly what we do on a day-to-day basis.
We have a whole team here where we look at it from all those different angles, because I think some people just look at it purely through that investment lens. Do I want to own real estate? Well, maybe not. If you want to get out of that game, how can we efficiently diversify you? And through this type of approach, it takes time to do so. But then with all of the tax implications as well, we have that tax strategy angle to look at it. This is really about the relationship, because it's not just a transaction that you do.